We're good.
Hello again, everyone. I am Chris Scherer, and this is the Citizen Sports Weekly for Friday, April 30th, 2021. Robert Harding, Justin Ritzel with us. And oh boy, the NFL draft, it always lives up to expectations. The surprises, the shockers, the fun. It's such a spectacle, And before we get started, I just got to say one thing. Please, whoever's in charge of running the draft, we don't need bands, okay? This isn't like a talk show where you have the band playing between the picks and everything. I get you have fans there and you want to keep them entertained, but we don't need the Kings of Leon. We don't need any garage bands or lounge acts or whatever. We don't look. It's 8 o'clock. I don't need to be hearing Kings of Leon. I need to be hearing with the first pick of the 2021 NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select. I mean, come on, please. Just get right to it. We don't need all this extraneous BS. Just get to the picks. All right. With that being said, Robert, Justin, and I are going to talk about our favorite team's first picks. And of course, Justin's team, the Green Bay Packers, well, they had I guess you could say they had the fans of the Packers had an interesting day, not just the draft night. So Justin, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Chris, do you remember a week ago when you said draft day is like Christmas Day? And I pushed back on that comment. Well, yesterday is exactly what I was talking about because it was not a very fun day. It felt like I woke up and there wasn't just coal. There was some brown stinky stuff in my stocking. And that is because several reports came out that Aaron Rodgers is so disgruntled with the Packers that he wants to be traded. Obviously, this all stems back really to last year. The Packers took a quarterback in the first round, Jordan Love. They traded up to get said quarterback. And while Rodgers put on a brave face, he was a good soldier all year. He played awesome. He won the MVP. All he did all season. I've watched a lot of Aaron Rodgers interviews over the last year and over his career. He was so positive. The day after the draft, he made sure to reach out to Jordan Love and say, like, welcome to the team. Congratulations. Like, he was the anti-Favre in that respect. But I think we can all relate. And I always hesitate to compare professional sports to like everyday jobs, like kind of what we have. But imagine that you are one of the best in your field and you just had one of the best years of your career, your employee of the year, that kind of stuff. And your boss or your company does not want to commit to you. They're ready for that young, cheap option for whatever reason. And that's kind of how I relate to this, is that the Packers kind of don't know, or they don't realize how great they have it with Rodgers. Now, this all comes with the caveat that we've heard a lot of people speak. We have not heard Aaron Rodgers speak. So I'm kind of like hesitant to go out guns a-blazing because you got people saying, he wants to be traded to the Broncos or the Niners or whoever. You got people saying that he's going to retire and host Jeopardy full time. All I know is that, like I said, I've seen a lot of Aaron Rodgers interviews. He did a big media tour a couple weeks ago when he was hosting Jeopardy. And all he has said consistently throughout the past year is, I would love to remain a Green Bay Packer. I think I have many good years of football left. Staying with the Packers to the end of my career may not be a reality, but I want to play. And I think everyone can agree that the best situation for him, despite their selection last night in the draft, which I will get to later, the best opportunity for him to win a championship is in Green Bay. He's got an all-pro wide receiver. He's got an all-pro left tackle. He's got a great running back. He's got a great tight end. And I think that defense has a lot more to give. They have a talented defense. So I would be absolutely heartbroken if Aaron Rodgers left the Packers. I would be heartbroken if he would retire, which I don't think is going to happen. But I will end with this. We're all reporters here. We all have writing backgrounds. We all cheer for the great story at the end of the day. Okay. There is like 1% of me that is super curious and think it would be a great story to see him go somewhere else and either see him win another MVP and win a Super Bowl, or to fall flat on his face. Both are possibilities, but I hope it doesn't come to that. I want him to stay in Green Bay and retire as a Packer. I hope that this can be reconciled. We've seen plenty of examples, whether it be Russell Wilson 3 months ago or Kobe Bryant 10 years ago, where it seemed like a guy had two feet out the door and he ended up staying and having a lot of success with his organization. So I hope it goes the Kobe Bryant route in terms of, the rest of his career. We'll see. I think this is not a story that's going to go away. This is something that is going to play out for the rest of the summer. And I think we can all agree that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are better off with each other than without each other.
Yeah, I'm just going to cut in for a second. I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. The teams that supposedly he wanted to go to include Las Vegas, Denver, and San Francisco. I'll tell you this. I'm just off the top of my head. What about the Rams? I mean, I know they got Matthew Stafford, but boy, could you imagine? I mean, if you want to be in that area, if you're the Rams, who would you rather have, Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers? I'd rather have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Rams, I think if they're not a Super Bowl contender, they're pretty darn close. I mean, Matthew Stafford, you could trade him to somebody else, if possible, or just keep him as your backup. But could you imagine Aaron Rodgers with the Rams? That'd be crazy. But irregardless,
before we get to Robert, sorry, Robert. To address that point, it takes, again, we have not heard from Aaron Rodgers. Okay.
Right.
He has not said. This is all reports from Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, who, listen, I'm sure they have their great sources. So I don't want to say that they're talking out of their butts. I'm sure there is a lot of smoke, to all this, but
it's the agent. It's always the agent.
It takes two to tango, and the Niners apparently called the Packers inquiring about Rodgers. The Rams, it was reported, reached out to the Packers back in January or February saying, hey, we'd be interested in trading for Rodgers. And the Packers said, we're not even having this conversation. We are not trading him. So that's kind of where the standoff is that, listen, the Packers own Rodgers' rights. He still technically has 3 years left on his contract. If they say they're not going to trade him, that's their call. He can force their hand in a way by saying, well, I'll retire then because you guys can't win without me. You're not going to win with Jordan Love. But we'll see. That's why I say you got to let it play out. But the Packers do have a say in this. And if they don't want to trade him, which they've been steadfast in saying over the last not only 24 hours, but the last 4 months, if they don't want to trade him, then we're kind of at a stalemate.
Yeah. Robert, your thoughts on the Sunrise quarterbacks for 500?
If I had to guess what this is all about, because the timing of this I don't think was an accident that this came out, because if you look at the reports, I think it was a day or two, and I'm sure Ritz saw this and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically the story came out about Rodgers' contract and detailed that he doesn't have any guaranteed money left. Basically, that's how the contract is structured right now. And essentially, he's that agreement that he reached, what was it, a couple years ago, Ritz, that contract he signed, that's the one that stands now. And I remember the reporting on that at the time. It was like, oh, well, maybe the Packers have an out in 2022 or whatever, or 2023. What will they do then about Rodgers? And that got more attention, after they drafted Jordan Love, of course. But if I had to guess, this is all a negotiating tactic. And Chris, you mentioned that it comes from the agent. I have no doubt that it comes from the agent. My suspicion is that what Rodgers is doing here is saying, look, I'm sick of the games that you guys are playing. You've been bumbling this for months now, especially after the Jordan Love fiasco. And now you're embracing the reigning NFL MVP. Because a lot of these reports that have been out there talk about, they may have wanted to trade him, but then pulled back. And of course, he's probably aware of that. And, you can imagine how that feels when a team says, "Oh, we don't want you anymore. We're going to move on. We drafted this guy." You put all those things together, and it looks pretty bad. But I think with this, what Rodgers is doing is saying, "Look, if I'm the guy, if you're out there saying I'm going to be the starting quarterback, you want me here, all this other stuff, show me the money." And I think that's really what it's all about, is that he wants a restructured deal, and this is the point that they've reached with it, because look, the Packers front office, and I've seen these debates out there about who deserves the blame there. Look, Rodgers is clearly flexing a little bit here. As Ritz said, let's hear from him to get his story. But the front office does not look good in any of this. And especially when you look back, we're in draft weekend, and you look back a year ago to what they did. And it's easy to, everybody remembers that. That was the biggest moment of round one last year. And so here we are talking about Aaron Rodgers again after, during and after round one this year. And, the Packers don't look good in this, the front office, that is. And, I think really Rodgers knows that. He knows that he has a bit of an advantage here, because the front office can't trade him. The cap hit is too large. Ritz, I'm sure, knows the numbers, but it's a huge hit. There's no way that trade's going to happen, because that would be devastating to their cap, especially in a year when the cap took a hit. And, they've got to sign these guys coming, that they're drafting, and, I'm sure that there's other needs that they need to fill. So the front office is in a tough position here, and it's largely their mess that they created. So Rodgers, I think, knows that. He holds a lot of the cards here. If I'm the front office, I figure out a way to get a better contract done. And I think if, they sit down, talk through the figures, settle these other issues too, you can get somewhere where Rodgers can finish his career as a Packer. Because I think even though, you see the Tom Brady situation and all this stuff, I think Rodgers has fallen in love with the idea of, it'd be great to be like a Kobe Bryant or a Derek Jeter. You stay with one franchise for your entire career, and, you've had success, and, that I think is what he wants to do. So why not make it happen if you're the Packers? I don't care about Jordan Love. He wasn't even your backup last year. I guess he might be this year. We'll see what happens there. But you have the NFL MVP on your roster. Pay him, keep him as your starter until he shows that he's not capable of handling the job.
Yeah, Robert, as I said, I will trust what Rodgers says whenever he says it. And he has said countless times, whether it's before or after Jordan Love got drafted, he said, I would love to be like a Kobe Bryant, like a Dirk Nowitzki, like a Derek Jeter. I don't want to, I imagine myself as a Green Bay Packer. He said that a million times. So that's why I am hesitant to go scorched earth here and say, like, to blast the Packers or whatever. I want to hear what he has to say. Because, there's a lot of moving parts here, and for him to basically pull a Brett Favre at this stage of the game would just be so anti what his whole career has been about. He has made every effort, knowing what he went through when he was the backup, to not be like Favre, whether that be how, again, as I mentioned earlier, how he reached out to Jordan Love when Love was drafted, where he holds his press conferences during the week. He made an effort to make sure he does not do those up at the, the big press room, at the media room. He does those in front of his locker. That is because he wanted to be different than Favre. He has made such an effort to distance himself from everything that annoyed people about Brett Favre, that it would be stunning and very out of character for him to suddenly pull a heel turn like that.
All right. So, Justin, why don't you talk about the Packers' first round draft choice then?
I didn't mind it. I don't know how you can sit here and say, after the way their defense once again played in the NFC Championship, where Kevin King gives up a Hail Mary before halftime that, as I said on this show when it happened, or, the week after it happened, that is what cost them a trip to the Super Bowl, is that play when their cornerback was out in La La Land and the Buccaneers got a free touchdown before half. So with that said, I'm fine with it. But I think there is something to be said for, there's been stats going around that, like, and we've talked about this before, over the last 9, 10, 11 drafts, the Packers have used a first round pick on an offensive player only once, and that was a quarterback. So I do think that at a point, there are diminishing returns when you continuously are trying to fix a defense and you're not seeing results. And at some point you are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You are taking away from a great offense or the potential of a great offense to build something that just cannot be fixed. So coaches play a role in that too. Front offices can draft great defensive players, but if the coaches are not developing them or they're not having them play as a unit, then that's ultimately going to be the product that shows up on the field. And for the Packers, it hasn't been good. But in a vacuum, I like the pick. I look forward to seeing what he does next year. He's apparently a freak athlete. He ran a 4.25 40. We'll see. I'm not going to write him off. I think it was a position of need. They addressed that. I guess my mindset or my frame of mind right now is that none of it really matters if they don't have a quarterback, and if Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback. So we'll see. He could very well end up being a great player.
All right, Robert, talk about the Bills' first round draft pick at number 30.
Yeah, this one was, I texted you, Chris, last night when the pick was made, and I thought it was a reach. I tweeted out something after the fact that I wasn't thrilled with the pick, just because I thought that while, and I'll talk about Rousseau in a little bit, but if you're going to draft at that position, there were, a couple other players on the board that I thought were rated higher, that, probably could have been better, players that would be more impactful right away than Rousseau would be. But, when you're drafting 30 in the draft, that usually means that you're a pretty good team. So in Brandon Beane, I trust. We'll see what comes of Greg Rousseau. I've watched more tape of him now than I did before the draft, and I like what I see. He's a big player. He can definitely make an impact. I think if he adds a little more size, he'll become even more powerful. I think that that's something that they have talked about. Really one of the knocks on him was that he opted out last year, which, I saw what the Steelers GM said. I saw what one of these other tough football guys said about, opting out and all this other crap. But, Rousseau's mom was a nurse working in treating COVID patients. So, he kind of knew firsthand what the deal with this was. And I think it was a smart play, no matter what that knucklehead in Pittsburgh says about players who chose to opt out. I thought that was the most asinine comment I've heard about the draft. But, I like what the Bills did here. I think that there's other areas that they need to address. Corners, obviously a big one, much like Ritz, that second corner, Ritz of the Packers, that second corner spot is one that they need to fill. And then, pick up a running back, get some value for a running back. There's some good value later in the draft. I know, Chris, we're going to get to you shortly, and you're going to pout about the Dolphins not picking Najee Harris or Travis Etienne. Look, there's other running backs in this draft that I think could have productive to great NFL careers. And, I think that, in that third or fourth round, maybe even later, you're going to find some good value there. So, so far, again, I thought it was a reach. I don't necessarily think it was a terrible pick. I'm kind of in between with it. We'll see what happens with it. I remember feeling this way about Josh Allen, and look, that turned out pretty good. So who knows? Maybe this guy is, the next defensive star. Would love to see it happen.
Well, Rob, I'm going to disappoint you. I was not disappointed that the Dolphins did not pick Najee Harris at 18. Okay. Look,
Well,
I would have loved to see them pick a running back at 18. Would have had no issue with it. Okay. I mean, a lot of people say that 18 is too high to draft a running back. I understand where that comes from. Would have had no issue if Miami picked a running back, but they needed an edge rusher, and that's what they got with Jalen Phillips out of the University of Miami. Now, my issue with that pick is that you're picking a guy that had to retire from football because of concussions. So you're basically picking a guy who's, I don't want to, this is kind of cool to say, but it's damaged goods. Okay. This guy is maybe one hit away from never being able to play football again. I'm sorry. I mean, picking a guy with an injury, the words injury history are never a good thing to have when you're talking about a first round draft pick. Okay. And I get football is a contact sport and you're not going to play your entire career without getting hurt. I get that. Okay. But concussions to me, that's the thing that can if a football player has to retire early, it's because of concussions. Okay. So look, as a player himself, Phillips is great. I mean, he's one of the better. I think he was ranked as one of the best defensive prospects in the draft. He can get after the quarterback. I mean, I saw clips of him playing for University of Miami. Great. He's definitely got the talent, but it's his health. I mean, concussions are nothing to joke around about. And this guy literally is one hit away from not being able to play football. So, look, I understand you have to take risks, I mean, high risk, high reward. I get that. But, I don't know. I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens. I hope this guy works out, but it is a concern that this guy has concussion history and they're drafting him at number 18 and putting a lot on him. So now to the top pick at number 6, Jalen Waddle. Okay, this is what Robert's waiting for. Look, I've been saying this for a long time. I said it last week. I tweeted it, but the Dolphins had the number 3 overall draft pick. It was a gift. Houston traded the house to get Laramie Tunsil, and you lucked out and got Bill O'Brien as a sucker, and you got all these great draft picks, and you luck out and you get the number 3 overall pick. So, and those first 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks. So right there, you've got the top non-quarterback in your back pocket, no matter who he is, defensive player, offensive weapon, whatever. Okay. And what did you do? You traded down. Yes, you did pick up an extra number 1. And then of course you had to trade back up, which cost you one of those number 1s. But in the end result, you ended up with an extra number 1 draft pick. I think in 2023 or something, 2 years away. I mean, look, great. It's great that we have extra number 1 picks. Great, whatever. But the thing is, you've got to use those picks to pick great players. And I like my chances of getting a great player more at number 3 than number 6. And at number 3, you could have had Kyle Pitts. Okay. You could have had Jamar Chase. Okay. Now look, Jalen Waddle is a very good player. And I'm thrilled to have him. And I'm sure he's going to play well and everything. But you could have had a better player at number 3. Instead, you get this guy at number 6. Like I said, Chris Greer, he's done a solid job. I didn't say great job, but he's done a solid job rebuilding this team so far, okay? But to me, you had the number 3 pick, and I would have stayed there, and I would have picked that best player available, and he would have made, especially because of Pitts being the generational talent that we're seeing. He is the highest drafted tight end since 1967, okay? And that's the year I was born. As Robert will tell you, that was a long time ago. You don't give me that look. 54 years, okay? Yeah, it's the truth. I'll take out my driver's license someday and prove it. But irregardless, you had Pitts, you had Chase, and you let him go, and you got Waddle. And hopefully Waddle will live up to expectations and prove Chris Greer to be right, okay? But we'll see.
Well, he's the perfect wide receiver to catch Tua's ducks. I will say that. I think that the Dolphins GM there, Chris, you've been collecting a lot of NFTs and cards lately. Chris Greer is a great pick collector. It's great to be a GM and act like you're a fantasy football guru and move picks around and stuff. But eventually you got to make the picks. And so,
Well, I tweeted it last night. He outsmarted himself. He thought, oh, I can trade down and I can still get Pitts or Chase at number 6. Okay. He traded up with the wrong team. I mean, yeah, you got a sucker with Philadelphia and Howie Roseman. I get that. But I mean, like I said, to me, you had number 3. It was a gift, an absolute gift. Okay. I mean, really, you weren't supposed to get when the Texans traded that pick to the Dolphins 2 years ago. Okay. There's no way you thought that was going to be the number 3 pick. I mean, the Texans hit Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt. You didn't think this team was going to go 4-12 and you were going to get the number 3 pick. It was an absolute, like, finding $100 bill on the sidewalk. Okay. And what did you do? You cashed it in and basically you gave away half of it. I'm serious. This is, to me, you outsmarted yourself. Okay. Chris Greer outsmarted himself. And again, maybe Jalen Waddle will be a Hall of Fame type player and he'll prove me wrong. And Robert will remind me, of course. And great. I would love to be wrong. I tweeted this. I would love to be wrong. But I'm telling you, Kyle Pitts not being a Miami Dolphin, in my book, inexcusable. You had this guy locked up. But you got to trade down for more picks. And you got to make the picks. And when you get a number 3 pick, you don't trade down, in my opinion. Okay. I didn't see the Jets or you think the Jaguars could have traded down with number 1? How much they would have gotten for that pick? You think they would have gotten 3 number 1s, 4 number 1s for that pick? Absolutely. No, they stuck and got their guy because they thought he was the best guy that could help that team out. So whatever. All right, you guys ready to move on to our next draft topic?
absolutely.
All right. Biggest surprise of the draft. I'll go first for this one, because I went last for the last one. The Niners picking Trey Lance. I think everybody was surprised by that. Most people were surprised by that. I know there were some other surprises. Look at Robert, man. But I think that everybody thought they were going to pick Mac Jones out of Alabama. And they went with Trey Lance.
If you slept through the last week, you may have been surprised by
Excuse
that.
me. I don't read every single mock draft that's out there, Robert. I mean,
Neither do I, but
All right. So, all righty. That was my biggest surprise. Go ahead, Robert. What was your biggest surprise?
well, I think when you look at the draft, and I gotta pull it up here to remind myself.
Yeah, I don't have that option where I am to be able to look at a laptop screen. So,
But what was the pick? I think.
not the Raiders.
Well, I got a couple because just jogging my memory here. First was the Bears moving up to get Justin Fields. As Ritz knows, the Bears, just crap the bed every year. Of course, they're the ones that picked Trubisky at number 2 in the year that Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are available. And here they are, I think making amends. I think Justin Fields will be the best quarterback of this draft class. This guy has exceptional talent. If you watched him play against Clemson, and that's considered, kind of an NFL caliber defense for the college level, and he shredded that joke of a team. So, I think Fields will do pretty well in the NFL. The thing that surprised me, though, Chris and his love for running backs in the draft and everything. And look, I'm not going to lie. I thought if the Bills at 30 could get ETN, great value there because it's a late first round pick as opposed to mid or early first rounder. But what are the Jaguars doing here? They have James Robinson on their team, who in 14 games last year rushed for over 1,000 yards and had almost 50 catches. Like, this is a guy that's incredible talent. And now Urban Meyer brings his college pals in, and they've got ETN now there. And I don't know, it's just kind of a crowded backfield. It's not an area of need, obviously, for the Jaguars. You have a first round pick there. They need some help on defense. Could have added a wide receiver. There's great options available for either of those options. But drafting ETN there was just a real head scratcher. Given what they need and the fact that they already have arguably one of the better running backs, better young running backs in the game already. So that to me was the biggest surprise, that they would just basically waste a pick to reunite Trev with his college running back, and when you didn't need to fill that position.
Justin, biggest surprise of the draft so
Well,
far.
I'm just going to go with a few quick winners and losers. Winners, the correct answer is, and I hate to say it, the Chicago Bears, because I'm with you, Robert. I think he's going to end up being the best quarterback in this draft, and to get him at, what was it, 11? They traded up to get him. Great value. That's a guy who I think there's going to be a couple other teams in 5 years who had a chance to get him and passed on him. So the Bears are my big winner. Teams that I was a little surprised with, Robert mentioned the Jags. That's one example. The Cincinnati Bengals picking a receiver at 5, I think, when your quarterback is recovering from an ACL injury, which I'm sure the fact that he was getting hit every other play ultimately led to him getting hurt. You had an offensive tackle there waiting for you to take, and you went with a wide receiver for the sake of continuity. That's another example of a team drafting a receiver to pair him with the quarterback he played in college. I think that's kind of a backwards way to go about things. If you can't protect your quarterback, it really doesn't matter what receivers you have on the team. So that was a little head scratching. I think, again, Carolina, Denver, two teams that picked ahead of that number 11 spot. I think they should have taken Fields. Maybe Denver didn't take a quarterback because they thought they were in the mix for a certain Hall of Famer that they could trade for. I don't know. And then I don't know. I don't want to crush them too much, but the Atlanta Falcons, the team that ultimately did take Pitts, Chris's boy that he learned about 3 weeks ago and fell in love with.
Oh, BS. No wonder.
Listen, Matt Ryan won an MVP in 2016 and took the Falcons to the Super Bowl, and he has been very mediocre in the years since. I think they could look back in a few years. Matt Ryan's 36 years old. That's an example of where you take a quarterback and build for the future, because he has seen a very big decline in his play. I'm not sure Matt Ryan at his best is the kind of quarterback who you're consistently winning, you're competing for Super Bowls with. That's a team that I think should have taken Justin Fields, and they had the opportunity to do so. And they went for the tight end that, I got to be honest, that's a position that doesn't always seem to track when you take them in the first round. You're disappointed more often than you land a great player. So we'll see. But I think more so this year than a lot of other years. Tough to find a lot of moves that I was like, wow, that is incredibly moronic. In some sense, a lot of the moves I think were justified, except for the Raiders. That was a weird pick.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to Major League Baseball. Last weekend, Madison Bumgarner pitched a no-hitter, or did he? Because it came in a game of a doubleheader, which was only 7 innings. So MLB says 7-inning no-hitters, they don't count. Should it be counted? Now, I remember back in 1990, the Yankees having one of their worst years ever in team history. They were in last place in the AL East. I can't remember who the pitcher's name was. I want to say Dave LaPointe. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Robert can look it up and he has access to the computer. But in August of 90, the Yankees played the White Sox. And the Yankees, I believe, were the road team. And their pitcher threw a no-hitter. But they lost the game, I think, 1-0. Like a walk, stolen base, that kind of thing, And they ended up losing the game. But the pitcher for the Yankees did not throw 9 no-hit innings. He threw 8 no-hit innings. And there was a lot of talk whether it was a no-hitter or not. So this kind of reminds me of that. Look, this is what MLB gets when they start tinkering with rules that have been around for over a century. Okay, look, I covered the New York Penn League for a few years. The Penn League had 7-inning doubleheaders, okay? And that's fine. It's the minor leagues. That's where these things should be going on, okay? And I get some of it last year with the pandemic and everything, but we're not in the pandemic anymore from the standpoint of baseball playing 162-game regular season, starting on time. A lot of the players have been vaccinated now. It's not the same as it was last year, okay, from that type of situation. So they should be having 9-inning doubleheaders. Okay, if you're going to do that. So I feel bad for Madison Bumgarner because he kind of did pitch no hitter, but I guess it's not going to count. And it shouldn't count because it's 7 innings, not 9 innings. Okay, so oh well for him, but that's the way it goes. Justin, your thoughts on that?
Chris, it's funny because I had the exact same thought you did when you brought up the Yankees game from years ago. I thought of an Angels game I had to look up the year. It was 2008. They were the road team playing at the Dodgers, and Jared Weaver and one of their relievers combined to throw a no-hitter, but they only pitched 8 innings because the Angels were behind by a run and they ended up losing. And Major League Baseball didn't count it as a no-hitter. And that's exactly what I thought of when Robert sent out the topics for this week and that we were going to be talking about this. Listen, I would just say this, and you referenced the New York Penn League, where there's a lot of no-hitters that only were across 7 innings, and those counted. And all that the New York Penn League did was put in parentheses after each listing, 7 innings. Okay. I don't see why Major League Baseball can't do the same, because it is a no-hitter. And if you're going to count every other statistic from that game, whether it be home runs, hits, all that stuff, if that is going to count towards, career statistics and all that, then a no-hitter should count the same, because that is what happened. I will say this, Major League Baseball is never shy about giving us things to talk about. Good press, bad press. It's all good for the league if we're talking about them, and that's what's happened here. MLB gave us a reason to talk about their league, and ultimately that's a good thing. But come on, stop with the ridiculousness, guys. He didn't give up a hit. It's simple. You guys made the rules to make it 7 innings. You can't just pick and choose what statistics you're going to count and not count.
Robert?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, as you both have mentioned, like these are the rules that MLB created. So, let's look at this. Madison Bumgarner pitches 7 innings of no hit ball, wins the game. They say we're not going to recognize the no hitter. Okay, I just looked up his stats on MLB.com. They recognize it as a complete game, and they recognize it as a shutout. So what's the difference? I mean, if it's a complete game shutout in your mind, and it's listed that way on, as part of his profile and in the official record, then how can it not be a no-hitter? Because to pitch a complete game, normally you have to throw 9 innings if it's a 9-inning game. And, for a shutout, it's a 9-inning game, potentially 8 if there's, that trickiness there. But that's what a shutout is. This isn't, how do you say, oh, well, it's not technically a no-hitter? Well, he's playing within the rules. These are the rules that you guys created. You guys wanted to go with the 7-inning double headers. I don't get it. This is the MLB, I think, shooting itself in the foot, and unnecessarily so, and a bit hypocritical that they, they'll recognize one aspect of this, the complete game, but not the no-hitter. Little silly to me. I think it's I think it's something stupid to quibble with, especially when this dumbass league, refuses to do anything about the steroid era. And I don't even want to hear about asterisk for this no-hitter. He pitched a no-hitter, forget it. You guys given a pass to the steroid era, you've given a pass to the Astros, worry about that before you come for Madison Bumgarner's no-hitter. Jeez, what a bunch of morons.
Our last topic, and this is a fun one that Robert came up with, is
it was Ritz's idea.
Oh, this is Ritz's idea?
In all fairness. Yeah.
Okay.
This was
the most unbreakable record in sports. Now, Robert said he knows what mine's going to be. So go ahead, Robert. Tell me what if I agree with you, you actually know what I'm going to say.
Oh no. We're not doing this because then you'll say, oh, that wasn't mine, and then you'll totally change it.
What do you think? What do you think that I think it is? What record? Go ahead and say it.
Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak.
No, that's not it. No, I think that record can be broken. Very tough to do. No, Cy Young's 511 wins.
No,
I mean, look, think about it. I know the game has changed dramatically in over 100 years since Cy Young last pitched. I get that, okay? I mean, look, I don't know if we'll ever see another 300-game winner in Major League Baseball, to be honest with you, the way things are going, the way the game is with openers and, taking guys out on pitch counts and all this other stuff. Okay. I don't think we're never going to, I don't know, we'll see our 300 game winner. And obviously no one I think the most wins since Cy Young, I think is 363, which I think might be Warren Spahn, possibly. It could be wrong on that one, but I don't have the all-time win totals ahead of me here, but no one will ever come close to 500. And I'll be honest with you, if anybody comes close, maybe half of that will be probably the closest we'll get to it. It's 250 career wins as we continue on in baseball. All right, Robert, your thoughts. The most unbreakable record in sports.
I think that there's a lot of these records in baseball just because of how the game has evolved. In doing some research for this, I saw someone mentioned like Jerry Rice's receiving records and the touchdown record. I don't know about those. I mean, the touchdown record maybe, but the receiving records in a pass happy league, I don't think those are as unbreakable as people might think. Especially you get a couple guys that have some longevity and break them. I'm going to stick with baseball here, and I think part of it was just looking at different records, around when Tim LeCastro broke his, but Ricky Henderson's stolen base record. No one's even close to that, and no one will even come close again. The way that the game is played now, you look at the 21st century, and some guys. I think Jose Reyes stole over 70 bases in a year. You see I think Jacoby Ellsbury did that one year, but these aren't guys that are doing it every season. They would need to steal 70 bases over 20 seasons to catch Ricky Henderson, and that ain't happening in today's game. And that's a record I think will stand forever. Chris, I agree with you on Cy Young. Of course, that the game had already evolved, over time, but stolen bases, I think, because they're there, and occasionally they happen. You get a guy that might steal 50 in a season, and that's a big deal. But no one's getting Ricky Henderson's record. To look at another sport, with hockey and Gretzky's points record, I don't think that's ever going to be caught. The goals will be interesting with Ovechkin. If Ovechkin could still, play, maybe get some of that extra Russian juice in him to play another, 7-8 seasons. I could see him breaking the record, but yeah, Chris, I know you wouldn't even touch hockey with that one, so wanted to throw that out there in case Rick's had something else.
I would throw out Wayne Gretzky's career points total either as a record that I doubt will be touched, but still, I mean, things can happen. I mean, you just don't know in that standpoint. Justin, what do you got for us?
I am surprised though that you didn't mention the Dolphins' perfect season, but
that can only be tied.
I guess you're not a real fan.
Oh, geez. All right. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I think it's funny looking at football versus baseball. You kind of have, they're going in different directions where like it seems like no record in football is ever going to be safe again because, what is it? Fox had a graphic this past season every time Drew Brees or Tom Brady would break each other's record for touchdown, career touchdown passes or passing yards. That stuff, especially the way the game is opened up, they're going to get an additional game. And dare I say they're going to get an 18th game pretty soon. Like records like whether it be the all-time passing touchdown record, single season touchdown record. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to break those pretty easily at some point during his career.
We're going to have 60 touchdown passes in the season.
Yeah, it's inevitable. On the flip side, I'm with you guys. Like some of the pitching records in baseball, just with the nature of the game, like guys just are not throwing enough to touch some of these innings records, wins records, strikeout records. That stuff's not going to be touched because pitchers get babied too much. Jacob deGrom him and Clayton Kershaw are hands down the best pitchers of this generation. Maybe Robert, if you want to throw your boy Max Scherzer in the mix there, we can talk about that. But like Jacob deGrom, he'll be lucky if he gets to 150 wins, and he is incredible.
Yeah, well, the Mets offense doesn't help him out in that regard either. But
yeah,
it's funny.
It's crazy.
Another former Mets pitcher who just popped in my head because unfortunately he got traded very young is Nolan Ryan, who has the career strikeout record. I don't think anybody's ever going to come close to Nolan Ryan's strikeout record. Nolan Ryan started pitching in the major leagues basically the year I was born. And when he retired, I was in my mid-20s. I mean, he basically pitched almost about 25 seasons. I mean, he mowed people down. I mean, no one will ever come close to Nolan Ryan's strikeout record, in my opinion. I mean, I think, like you said, any Major League Baseball pitching record, the way the game is today in regards to pitchers, none of those records will ever be touched, not even close. Some of the offensive marks, yeah, I think I think it could happen under the right circumstances. You know, it's a fluke, but it could happen. The 700, well, I always consider Hank Aaron the real home run king, but still things like that, RBIs, hits, that kind of stuff. So anyway,
well,
by the way,
hold on. Because I actually haven't gotten to my record that I was going to say. I was going to say Gretzky's career points record, 900 points over Jaromir Jagr, who was second place. So basically, Wayne Gretzky has had a Hall of Fame career better than the second place guy. That's pretty incredible. I thought that his goals record was untouchable. Then about 2 years ago, when Ovechkin continued to score 60 goals a year, I was like, wow, he's kind of on pace with this thing. 2 years ago, I would have said Alex Ovechkin is going to break Gretzky's record, but I think I'm a little iffy on it now because he's just lost too much time. Not even necessarily because to his own fault. It's just he's had basically the 2 last seasons are being shortened because of COVID. And he's also had 2 lockout-related seasons that have either he's lost completely or he lost half of his season. So I think the odds are kind of working against him. It's like the hockey gods just don't want Wayne Gretzky's record to be broken for goals. The most unbreakable record that I will say is Teemu Selanne's record for goals by a rookie, which is 76. I don't think anyone's ever going to score 76 goals, period, again, rookie or not. He did it as a rookie. I don't think that's ever being touched. Connor McDavid is like the most talented guy. I think he got to like 30 goals as a rookie. That's not being touched. So that's what I would say. And just to point out, the reason I pitched this conversation to Robert was because Patrick Marleau, who I don't even know, I joke Chris has never even heard of Patrick Marleau. Patrick Marleau broke Gordie Howe's record for career games played a couple weeks ago. So shout out to Patrick Marleau. I bet maybe 1% of the people watching this know who he is. He's a centerman for the San Jose Sharks.
I will be honest, and I will confess, I did not know who Patrick Marleau was till he broke the record. And then I'm like, oh wow, okay, I don't know who this guy is now. Okay, so I'm going to throw one more record out there, which I think can be broken under the right circumstances, and that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's NBA career scoring mark. I believe Kareem has over 36,000 points. It'd be fun to see if LeBron James wants to play long enough to come close to that, or Steph Curry. I mean, this guy's hitting threes like nobody's business. I mean, that's going to help him out. So it'll be interesting to see in the next 10 years, can anybody top Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Because I think people don't know that has a career record in scoring. They always think Michael Jordan must be the NBA's all-time leading career scorer. No, it's Kareem. And I think it'd be kind of fun to see if someone can reach Kareem's mark and possibly surpass him. So
LeBron is 3,000 points behind Kareem.
What's that?
LeBron is 3,000 points. So I'm not sure how that translates to how many points.
How many points is
per year? But
these LeBron. I mean, let's say LeBron James averages 25 points a game. It's an 82 game season. I mean, that's what, 1,600 points. I mean, he'd have to play another 2 years with that to get there, which is possible. And if he hangs on, I mean, he doesn't have to average that many. I think if he wants to, he could have that record. But again, Steph Curry, I don't know what his, career points are right now. And obviously he's not as young as he used to be, but he's still not on the downside of his career either. That'd be kind of fun. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Another one, guys, what about Emmitt Smith's NFL career rushing mark? I believe he's got over 22,000 rushing yards in his career. That'll be interesting to see because, as we all know, the NFL is more of a passing league now. Will anybody even come close to that? So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, to the one about LeBron, I just pulled up his his stats here. Of course, he's been injured. I guess he might come back tonight and play, but through 41 games this year, he scored over 1,000 points. So, in a full 82 game season, that puts him well on pace for 2,000 points in a year. So, yeah, if he stays healthy, look, he's not going to play 82 games because, this isn't Michael Jordan. These soft basketball players these days can only play 65 games a year, or they'll cry about it. But, I think he can put together, as long as he's healthy, 15, 1,600 points a year. Last season, when he played 67 games, he scored almost 1,700 points. So, as long as he stays healthy, I think he could break that record if he wants to keep playing.
All right, gentlemen, let's wrap it up. We got another night of the draft coming up. We got tomorrow afternoon with the draft. So if you're an NFL draft fan, what's that?
I said whoop-de-doo.
Well, maybe the Packers will pick somebody that you like. Not saying you didn't like the first pick, but
I'm sure he'll be great for Jordan Love as the Packers go, 7-12 next year.
All I know is I want the Dolphins pick a running back in the second round. That's they've got number 36, they've got number 50. I'd like to see a running back with one of those two picks. That would be good, but we'll see if Chris Greer, I can't pick a running back at that spot. We need another defensive back, that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens. So, all right, folks, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. And we will see. Oh, by the way, we will see you not only will we see you next week, yes, we will see you with expected friend of the program, Bob Sosi, the voice of the New England Patriots, and of course, Auburn High School graduate, 1985, just like yours truly. He will be with us to talk about the NFL draft and the Patriots, and that'll be fun. We always like having Bob on. He does a great job. So that'll be one to look forward to. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week with Bob.